Hey guys, how are you? And welcome all to the 5th season of What if Naruto fell in love with INO and TENTEN and mastered the FUINJUTSU? So, like always, remember that if you want more seasons of this fanfic in the channel, just let me know with a like, comment, and subscribe. So, we're gonna start.
Ino slowly opened her eyes and found herself lying on the ground. She slowly sat up and looked around. Her eyes finally met Naruto standing where she had left him. He was looking at her with an expression difficult to understand. He's still paralyzed, she remembered. Wait, I'll give you the antidote in a minute. She stood up completely. It's not necessary, said Naruto, who slowly began to move his limbs. I already got that poison out of me, he affirmed as his body regained mobility. Surprised, Ino watched as the boy could move after she used a poison that was supposed to paralyze him for 12 hours. He's amazing. But then she remembered everything he had been through and her expression fell again. Hey Naruto, about what I saw dash. Don't worry, Ino, Naruto said, watching her limbs move. When he was satisfied, he started walking, leaving Ino behind, and without looking at her again, he finished, like I said, I've already gotten that poison out of me. And without saying anything else, he left the training field, leaving Ino alone. Naruto, Ino murmured, watching him leave, not wanting to follow him. Not for now. I have to think a lot about what happened. Ino-chan. Ino-chan. Nagato's voice came. Ino turned around and saw him walking slowly and with difficulty towards her. Are you okay? The brunette asked. Nagato-kun. I'm fine. How are you? The girl asked. I'm fine, a little sore, the boy replied. I was worried about you. What happened? Ino recalled everything she saw again. The feeling of self-hatred began to rise within her. I can't talk about it, she said as her eyes filled with tears. I'm so sorry for involving you in this. Nagato-kun, I just need some time alone, she said as she headed for the exit. Wait, Ino-chan. Nagato tried to stop them, but Ino left without listening to anything else. Ino-chan. The boy sighed sadly. What did you do to Ino-chan? Nagato demanded when he arrived home. I didn't do anything to him, Naruto growled. Nagato realized that Naruto was very upset, more so than he had ever seen him. You did something to her, replied the chestnut-haired man. When I saw her leave, she was very upset. Well, that's something she brought on herself, the blonde man muttered. If you did anything to Ino-chan, I promise I'll. Nagato tried to threaten. Who do you think you are, you stupid clone? Don't forget your place and who you are. Naruto cut him off sharply. I don't know what your damn problem was. You only had one task. You should have just gone to work, not to form bonds of friendship. What did you expect me to do? Ignore people. Be a jerk to the person who has supported me all this time and offered me friendship. Nagato shouted. What I wanted was for you to do your damn job and not get attached to people. Naruto yelled angrily, then tried to calm down. Damn it. Don't you understand that all you'll do is hurt them? I wouldn't hurt Ino-chan. Nagato shouted again, annoyed that Naruto had implied he would hurt his best friend. Oh no? And what will happen when you dissipate? Naruto said, and this made Nagato's eyes widen in understanding. What will happen when you no longer exist and the people who grew fond of you suffer because they won't know what happened to you? He emphasized. You knew very well that your life would only last less than a month, and even if I let you live longer, you wouldn't last another week. Your chakra has been almost completely consumed. Nagato didn't speak anymore. He knew this was true. He never thought that he and Ino would separate, and he knew it was his fault for getting close to the girl. Damn it, he just murmured sadly. Naruto observed Nagato's sad expression and simply sighed. Now we must find a solution to this problem. I have an idea, Nagato said almost in a whisper. The morning of the third day after her collision with Naruto was still very difficult for Ino. She had barely been able to sleep during all that time because of everything she had seen. Naruto's life was so sad and lonely that remembering it filled her with sadness, and she cried for hours. I've been so mean to him, and he didn't deserve it. He didn't need some bitch adding more pain to his already painful life. Ino had certainly discovered that her perspective on life was distorted, and that included her view of Sasuke. Knowing there was more to the world than her own fairy tale made her feel foolish, as if she had been acting childishly all this time. She had to admit that everything Naruto had told her about Sasuke was true. She didn't know him. She had a distorted view of Sasuke. He had never given her any reason to believe he liked her. He didn't care about such things. And Ino had to admit she was wasting her time on a stupid rivalry. "What will I do now?" she murmured from her bed. "Chasing after Sasuke-kun was my only purpose." Then she remembered what Naruto had told her. "That's right, I must train. I no longer want to be a burden to my team or live in fear of ending up dead or raped after a mission. I can't let the girl from the bushy-browed team be the only real kunoichi of our generation. I no longer want to be like Sakura. I want to be someone better," she thought with renewed resolve. But her thoughts were interrupted by a tapping on her window. Nagato was there. Ino got up and opened the window. "Hello, Nagato-kun. What are you doing here?" she murmured. "Well, I haven't seen you in 3 days and I wanted to see how you were," she said and then smiled. "Besides, I brought you some hot chocolate and some rolls. I know you have that for breakfast when you're sad," she said as she handed him a basket with the drink and snacks. Ino was touched that Nagato did that for her. He knew her well during their time as friends, and she had to admit that he had learned from her like no one else. He supported her without complaint and risked a beating from Naruto for her. He was so special, and now he was trying to comfort her. There was no doubt that she was important to him. "Thank you, Nagato-kun. You really are my best friend," Ino said with a beautiful smile and a tear of happiness. This brought Nagato happiness, although inside she knew that feeling wouldn't last long. "Well, I hope you're doing well. I'm late for work, but I hope to see you soon," and she quickly hugged her. "What will you do today?" Ino, who had already thought of her new resolution, smiled. "I plan to take my life more seriously, but first I must apologize to Naruto. Nagato smiled at this. The past 3 days had allowed his boss to calm down and no longer be angry with him and Ino. "Sounds good. I saw him at Training Ground 7. I think he'll be there all day. Okay. Thank you so much for that." And she did something that neither she nor Nagato expected. She kissed him on the mouth. A simple but tender kiss. "Thank you for everything, Nagato-kun. This caused Nagato to be surprised and fall backward to the ground. Ino was worried about him since they were on the 2nd floor. "Are you okay?" Yes. "Well, thank you for worrying. I have to go. Thanks for the thoughtfulness. I really liked it," the boy mumbled, blushing furiously as he ran towards the store. Ino just smiled at everything that happened. "It's still too early to decide if Nagato-kun is the one," she murmured. "So that Nagato told you I was here?" Naruto asked. "Yes, she told me she knew you'd be here all day," the girl replied. "Although I don't know how she knew, but when I found out I wanted to bring you something to eat," she said as she handed him a large package of ramen. "It's sent by the kind cook at the ramen stand, although I think it's a lot." Naruto laughed. "It's almost necessary. Ayamne knows what I eat," he said as he sat down, opened the package and served himself a plate. "All right, itadikamasu." And he started eating. "So, Ino, do you want to eat with me?" he asked. "Me?" She was surprised by the Uzumaki's invitation. "I don't know. Ramen isn't my thing," she muttered, thinking about all the calories she would consume. "Come on. Don't tell me you're still thinking about the diet," said Naruto while eating his noodles. "She's too skinny, you need to gain weight if you want to train again," he pointed out, using his chopsticks. "You don't say that to a lady." Ino scolded, her cheeks flushed, but then her stomach growled. She had left home having eaten nothing but the bread rolls Nagato had brought her. "Okay, fine, just 1 plate," she said, sitting down next to Naruto and starting to eat. Upon tasting it, she marveled at how delicious it was. "This is so good," she said happily. "True," said Naruto as he finished his first bowl and went for the second. "So what did you come here for?" Ino first swallowed the noodles she was eating before answering. "I've come to apologize for what happened the other day," she said while looking at her plate. Naruto watched her stop eating and gave her a reassuring smile. "Don't worry, nothing happened. Like I told you, I already got it out of my system, and after slurping the broth from the second plate, he moved on to the third. I should also apologize for how I acted. That day I went crazy and probably ended up hurting you. The Uzumaki apologized, truly ashamed. No, of course not. You had every right to be like that with me. I've treated you so badly all this time, Ino said hurriedly. I also want to take this opportunity to tell you that everything that happened and everything I saw, no one will ever know, she said, seeing Naruto tense up. I know it's difficult to talk about, but I'm not judging you anymore. You're very brave to have had to go through all that. You're a hero, Naruto. And as she watched him relax, she added, I've decided to take my shinobi life more seriously. I'm talking about my training and everything else. Plus, I've let go of my obsession with Sasuke-kun. Great, said Naruto. Just make sure the next one you focus on isn't a stupid homosexual, he mocked. Is Sasuke-kun? Ino asked in surprise. She doubted it was him, but she didn't really know the boy well enough to decide if it was true or not. Who knows? Naruto laughed. He looks pretty good about it. And he started laughing. Ino didn't take long to join in the laughter. This moment seemed very peaceful to her, spending time with Naruto while they ate a delicious bowl of ramen. In any case, Ino said, wiping a tear from her eye, I also want to get to know you better, the real you. She smiled wistfully. Aside from Choji and Shikamaru, I don't have any friends, and well, they're great and all, but they're closer to each other. Sometimes I think they only tolerate me because of our parents. She murmured sadly, but then recovered. What I'm trying to say is that I want to be your friend. If you'll let me, of course. Naruto looked at her for a few seconds before smiling. Yes, of course. It would be nice to have another friend, dash. Thank you. Ino smiled. You don't know how much this means to me. And if there's anything I can do for you, don't hesitate to ask. Naruto thought for a few moments until a look of enlightenment appeared on his face. There's something, help me keep Sakura away. That's what Naruto had asked Ino. You really messed up Sakura, Ino thought, remembering everything Sakura had done to Naruto. And to think I feel like she did something worse, but maybe something happened before. Naruto didn't show it to me, she imagined. Hey Ino, greeted a man's voice behind her. Ino turned around and saw Kiba Inuzuka and his little dog Akamaru on her head, and an older girl she didn't recognize. Hi Kiba, what are you doing here? He asked the boy and turned to the woman accompanying him. I'm Ino, by the way. She introduced herself. I'm Hana, Kiba's older sister. Nice to meet you. The girl introduced herself. We were walking around, and we saw you and I wanted to say hello, the boy said. Oh, well, thank you, said the girl. I was heading to my aunt's shop just now. It's a few steps from here, she explained. Kiba's face lit up. Then let us accompany you, he said and led the way. Walking dash. Okay. Ino murmured, confused. So what have you been doing? The boy asked. Well, I've been hanging out with Nagato-kun, a friend I made, and training, Now that there aren't any missions because of the finals, I've been trying not to fall behind. I can't let the finalists get too far ahead of me, especially Shikamaru. I have to put in the effort so that next year I can become a Chunin. Yes, it's true, he acknowledged. Who would have thought that guys like Shikamaru or Naruto would be in the final? They've become much stronger than they were a few months ago, especially Naruto. I never expected him to beat Sasuke, the boy murmured. Nobody expected it, Ino said. This Naruto they're talking about is Uzumaki, right? Hana asked. If he beat Uchiha Sasuke in the preliminaries and is now going against Hyuga Neji, the prodigy, Kiba explained. Although I doubt I'll be able to beat him, Neji is on a different level, he murmured. You'd be surprised, Ino said, certain that Naruto could beat Neji. She didn't know how, but he would. That's what we thought about Sasuke-kun, and look, now he's in the final. I see you're convinced he'll succeed, Hana said with a smile. Well, yes, murmured Ino with a blush. I trust my friend. Since when is Naruto your friend? Asked Kiba, who hadn't noticed the previous exchange. I recently started getting to know him and I realized that he's a good person, the girl explained. Well, good for you guys, Kiba said simply. They had arrived at the antique shop when Sakura Haruno's unmistakable voice reached Ino's ears. She does seem to be Ino's aunt, I hear. I heard that, said Ino as she entered the store. Inside, Nagato-kun and Sakura were talking. I don't know this boy, he looks about our age, Kiba asked. He's Nagato-kun, the one I told you about recently, Ino said. Oh, nice to meet you. I'm Kiba and this is Akamaru, said the boy, pointing to the dog on his head. Nagato, nice to meet you, the boy greeted. If he's Nagato-kun, the one who faced Naruto a few days ago, Ino said cheerfully, teasing Nagato. Did you fight with Naruto? Sakura asked, surprised. Fighting is not the word I would use, Nagato said, embarrassed. So which one would you use? Sakura asked. More like beaten up, Ino said. Both of them, she added, pointing at Nagato and herself. Naruto isn't the failure he was at the academy anymore. He has many skills and can be vicious with his attacks, she said, remembering the punch to his stomach and the near suffocation. Besides the overdose of negative memories, she thought sadly. Ha ha ha, I would have paid to see it, Kiba laughed. But Hana silenced him by pulling his ear. Ey Kachoro no sees Majidero y present aim. Gruno Hana. Ow! Let go of me, Kiba complained, rubbing his ear. If you had such a problem, you should have introduced yourself. Guys, this is my sister Hana. Nice to meet you, they said, Nagato and Sakura. Likewise, Hana returned the greeting. I've heard a lot about this Naruto, especially about his victory against the Uchiha. It was unexpected, but now it doesn't seem so surprising to me anymore, Ino said again when she saw that Sakura wasn't going to say anything. She's probably surprised that I didn't defend Sasuke-kun. No, Sasuke, I need to start calling things what they are dash. Anyway, I have to go. I have a mission tomorrow and I need to get ready. Hana said goodbye. Don't be late for dinner, little dog, she told her brother and left. I think you should close early today, Nagato-kun. My aunt won't be here until tomorrow, said Ino, who didn't want her friend to be left here alone doing nothing. Really? Kiba said. I was hoping to see her, he said, disappointed. What for? Ino asked, annoyed. Well, I've seen it and it looks good, he said, smiling. You're a degenerate, the two girls murmured. So what have you been up to? Ino asked her former best friend, not having seen Sakura since the preliminaries. Sakura sighed. It's a state of searching for Naruto dash. Ino knew she hadn't expected this, and remembering Naruto's request in the morning, why? Do you want to do something to him? She asked. Of course not, Sakura replied, looking at her annoyed. I want to apologize to him for everything I've done to him. Oh, I see, Ino said. Well, it'll be a very long apology. Remembering what she saw in Naruto's mind, what they both did to him. You don't make me feel good. You know that, Sakura complained. Well, that wasn't my intention, she replied, putting both hands behind her back. I told you Naruto beat me up too, right? She reiterated. Yes, I heard when they told you, I replied. You too, Nagato-kun, right? Why did he do it? Sakura asked, interested. It was because I attacked him, the blonde explained, remembering how foolish she had been 3 days ago. I wanted to avenge Sasuke-kun's defeat, so Nagato-kun and I planned to ambush him and kick his butt. Just a few days before the final? Sakura complained. Hey, that wasn't right. They could have ruined their participation in the final. Well, I was blinded by rage. I wanted to get revenge on him. He had changed everything I believed in, and I just wanted to teach him a lesson. I wasn't worried about him not participating in the finals or ruining his chance to become a Chunin, she explained. I think that's why he was so vicious with his offense, she complained while rubbing her stomach. You know, he's in a league far superior to us. I don't know when or how, but he surpassed us by a long shot. When I realized it, I couldn't believe it. The boy I thought was an idiot, the loser of the academy, was now a monster in battles. He made me look pathetic. Yes, I know how it feels, Sakura said sadly. Regarding that, Ino said, pausing. It was time to close that chapter. I've realized I've been an inadequate kunoichi. You saw what happened in the exams. All the women of Konoha were eliminated. Let's face it, the bun girl was the strongest of them all, and she was taken out quickly. We wouldn't have made any difference, she said, clenching her fists, remembering what Naruto had said while holding her by the neck. My encounter with Naruto has given me the opportunity to realize that I've wasted my time on a foolish rivalry. Does that mean? I managed to hear Sakura say, it means I'm withdrawing from this stupid competition. Sasuke won't notice us now not being so weak. Besides, he has other priorities, and I don't want to waste my efforts on a lost cause. I want to improve. I want to be the best of all. I don't want to feel inadequate again, she said as she walked past Sakura, who had remained motionless. Certainly, Sasuke isn't the man I expected, or at least not now. Besides, and remembering Nagato's brown hair, she turned around with a smile. I think there's someone else who deserves my attention. The two observed a minute of silence, thinking about what had just happened. Ino reflected on her growing feelings for Nagato, although for an instant, Naruto's blue eyes appeared in her mind, but that was a topic for another day. Realizing that she was hungry, she had a destination to go to. See you later. I'm going to eat ramen. It's strange. I've started to really like it. And she left Sakura. Nagato-kun and Naruto are two guys I've gotten to know this month. Although Naruto is just a friend, getting to know him has made me realize what a great person he is. Ino thought as she silently ate the same ramen. But Nagato-kun is my best friend. He's been supporting me like no one ever has. He's handsome and cute, but he also has a huge heart, she thought. Although, as I said, it's still too soon to define feelings. I'm looking for Uzumaki Naruto. I was told he frequents this place. Do you know where I can find him? Were the words that pulled her from her thoughts. It was a familiar voice. She was the girl from the Hyuga team and the bushy-browed guy. I don't remember her name, Ino thought, trying to remember the kunoichi's name. Wait! The cook stopped her. You're Gai-sensei's student, right? She said, trying to remember the name. Tenten-san, right? That's right. Her name is Tenten. She's the one who lost to the girl from Suna. The blonde thought. Oh, so you're Naruto-kun's girlfriend? The cook asked. What? Was the shout of the bun girl, something Ino shared. Naruto has a girlfriend? Why didn't I know? She said, thinking that she was the queen of gossip in Konoha. Something I should also change dash. Don't talk nonsense. Tenten growled. What? Asked the cook, confused. Don't talk nonsense. Tenten repeated furiously. I would never go out with a loser like him. Ino, who was following the conversation closely, frowned upon hearing the girl's words. Naruto is not a loser. Even though she had only just become friends with Naruto this morning, she wasn't going to allow anyone to offend her friend like that. She was ready to intervene when the cook's voice distracted her. Well, you're right, it's nonsense. I doubt Naruto-kun would be interested in someone as rude, impolite, and undoubtedly unattractive as you, she said venomously. Ouch! That must have hurt. Ino thought mockingly, pleased that the cook had defended Naruto like that. Come on, girls. Don't fight. We need to calm down. The voice of the cook, who according to Ino was the girl's father, was heard. You stay out of it. You stay out of it. They both shouted. Listen carefully, cook. I would be worthy of anyone, even your Naruto-kun, Guy's student growled. What's more, he should make an effort to be worthy of me, she said without thinking. Haha. Yeah, right? Thought Ino. What people say when they don't know what's really going on dash. Don't make me laugh, he beat Uchiha-san fair and square. Aren't ninjas supposed to win their missions no matter what? Even though his victory was based on luck, as you say, he's in the final. And tell me, where does that leave you? I emphasized venomously. I don't think he's a loser because he's still in the competition, but tell me, what are you that you're not? I think the loser is someone else. Ha ha ha, this is so good, thought Ino. But it must end. If you want to find Naruto so badly, I'll give you what you want. But I don't think you'll like what you find, she thought with a malevolent smile. If you're looking for Naruto, I can tell you where he is, Ino interjected. I just saw him at training ground number 7, near the lake, she finished. I hope you're not mad, Naruto, but it has to happen, he thought as the girl hurried out of the ramen stand. Why did you tell him where to find him? The cook demanded. Oh, believe me, she won't like finding it, Ino said. She has to go through this, I know, I lived it. I suppose so, murmured the cook more calmly. Hey, you're very brave for a civilian. Not just anyone faces a ninja, especially a deranged one like that girl. Ino praised. Well, I did it for my little brother, the cook said simply. I'm surprised you didn't explode when I mentioned Uchiha-san. I thought you were just like that Sakura girl. Hey, let's not start with the insults, Ino complained playfully when compared to Sakura. The truth is, something happened a few days ago that opened my eyes, so I don't jump to conclusions about that subject anymore. Besides, Ino said, smiling, I think it's safe to say there's someone else who has my attention right now. Thinking of Naruto and Nagato. I understand, said IM. Good luck then. Thank you, Ino said, getting up. Well, in any case, Ino said, giving a wicked smile. Tell me in detail about the rumor of Naruto and his relationship with that girl. Planning to mess with her new friend. An hour later, Ino was walking through the park towards her house when the shadow of pink hair called to her. Is that Sakura? Is she still here after all this time? She watched her get up in high spirits, seemingly talking to herself. That girl needs psychiatric help, she laughed. But then she noticed Sakura freeze, staring at something. What happened to her? Ino peeked out and saw what Sakura was looking at. Naruto carrying Tenten on his back while they talked. I see it didn't take her long to admit that she loved the boy, Ino thought, although a strange feeling inside her was squeezing her heart. But what Ino didn't know was that someone was watching her. Ino-chan, said Nagato's unmistakable voice, who was watching her friend from a distance. I hope you can forgive me for what will happen, and I really hope you can be happy from now on, she murmured as tears welled up in her eyes. Chapter 14. Prelude towards the finale. Well, we are gathered here to discuss certain points about future events that will occur in the village, said the elderly voice of Koharu Uchiha. The day before the start of the Chunin exams finals, the Konoha Council had gathered to discuss what would happen to the village during and after the final round of the exams. Before we begin, I'd like to discuss something first, Koharu, said Hamura Mitokado's equally elderly and serious voice, interrupting the discussion. Go ahead, Hamura, Koharu said to her former teammate. You have the floor. The old man took his time to formulate his question. I would like to know what Danzo's intentions are, he said bluntly, turning his gaze to the other old man. Obviously, we are all aware that the Uzumaki boy has been granted permission to enter and learn from the knowledge contained in the Konoha Archives library, he explained, narrowing his eyes. I want to hear in your own words what your intention is in granting such a vital privilege to the Jinchuriki of the village. At that question, both Danzo and Hiruzen tensed up in annoyance at the derogatory words Hamura used to refer to Naruto. Even so, Danzo took his time to answer the question that had the other council members interested. My only intention has truly been to give a valuable asset of the village the opportunity to improve his ability, he explained. I have seen great potential in young Uzumaki-san, and I believe you will agree with me that the archive library will provide him with what he needs to develop his skills and become a qualified ninja in the service of the village, said the old man with the bandages. That's the thing, Danzo, Koharu interrupted, trying to mediate the discussion. Granting that privilege to the Uzumaki boy worries us in many ways. First of all, it's obvious that the boy is receiving a huge advantage over his final rivals, even over more promising assets for the village like Niji Hyuga or even Shikaku-san's own son, the old woman said, pointing at the older Nara. Obviously you knew of my intentions from the very day the preliminaries ended, Danzo replied calmly. Shikaku-san could very well have requested the same leave for his son if he found the situation unfair. Shikaku, who always refrained from making comments in council meetings because he considered them boring, decided to answer. It's true that the thought of requesting Shikamaru's inclusion in the archive's library's knowledge crossed my mind, just like young Naruto, he explained. But knowing Shikamaru, it would be a wasted opportunity for him, since he's not very interested in developing his knowledge for the finals. I think he's competing simply because of his mother's threats, he said with a drop of sweat on his head. Yes, Yoshino can be very persuasive when she wants to be, murmured the Hokage, trying to lighten the mood. Anyway, that still doesn't answer our question, Hamura interrupted, slightly annoyed. You know very well that in that library, the Uzumaki boy will develop extraordinary abilities, if he even has the capacity to understand what he's reading. he said with disdain. Since, according to the results of his abilities at the academy, he's a mediocre shinobi who doesn't have much of a future other than being the village's weapon. Hamura, the Hokage scolded. Hiruzen truly appreciated his former teammate, but seeing him speak so rudely about Naruto bothered him greatly, even though he wasn't on good terms with the boy at the moment. Watch what you say, we've already talked about this. Yes, Hiruzen, your love for the boy is like that of a grandfather. The old man dismissed. I don't see what the problem is, Hamura, Danzo replied calmly. As you say, the boy can be Konoha's weapon, so it's best to give him enough power to defend ourselves against any event, including the one that's about to happen. Don't act like you see the boy as the weapon of Konoha that Danzo is, Hamura snapped. We know that since you met him, you've taken him under your wing, something that has never happened before with any other shinobi. Or tell me, why haven't you treated him like some of your puppets that you're so used to? And narrowing her eyes, she continued, No, you treat the boy very differently. It seems as if you even have affection for him, something difficult to understand since we've known you, you haven't been this attentive or close to anyone. There's also something else that worries us even more, Koharu said, rejoining the discussion. The possibility that the Uzumaki boy will learn about what happened in Uzushio, she finished almost in a sigh. The other council members reacted to these words in different ways. Tension from Hamura, Danzo, and Hiruzen, and genuine interest from Shikaku, who was unaware of this piece of information. It would be dangerous if the Jinchuriki learns about what happened to his clan's village, Koharu murmured. It could trigger the beast to be released and cause a disaster like the one 12 years ago, and we don't have Minato to help us. Well, it would be fair for the boy to know what happened to the land of his ancestors, replied the old man with the bandages. Besides, you all know very well that I'm not very proud of Konoha's participation that day, he said almost with a growl, surprising everyone, especially Hiruzen. It was necessary, Koharu replied. We couldn't do anything but stay silent and look the other way. It said, Uzushio was a great sister nation, but the well-being of the village came first. That's what they say to soothe their consciences, if they have any left, Danzo retorted again. Because if that weren't the case, they would never have hidden the truth from Minato and his wife, who, even as Hokage, never found out what really happened with Uzushio and Yuzu no Kuni. He finished, looking harshly at Hiruzen. Anyway, you shouldn't worry about that specific information, Hamura interrupted after a period of silence. Since I got rid of all that related material quite some time ago, only the nation's chronicle and the clan's information remain, which could still be useful to us, she said coldly. What? Shouted Danzo and Hiruzen. Koharu and Shikaku were equally surprised by this new truth, but they did not show their astonishment. I did it for the sole purpose of the village's well-being. If anyone else found out, it could cause chaos and even an international conflict, the old man explained. Don't justify this, Hamura, the Hokage snapped. You acted according to your own concept of the village's interests and did it behind the backs of the other council members and even me, the Hokage. This could be considered high treason, and you know it, the Hokage threatened. And what do you plan to do, Hiruzen? Hamura mocked. Give me a trial? You know that if you did, everyone would find out what really happened. Tell me how long it would take for all hell to break loose when they found out what Konoha did to a sister nation like Uzushio, what you allowed to happen. Don't play with me, Hamura, the Hokage growled, clearly annoyed. Enough, said Koharu, stopping the confrontation between her former classmates. Before we continue with the topic we really came to discuss, I want to return to the first point I raised about the Uzumaki boy, because why give him permission and not have more promising assets like the Hyuga boy or the young Uchiha-san? The old woman retorted. Regarding the young Hyuga, I don't see why we should entrust anything important to a member of that clan's junior branch. The old man retorted with disdain for someone like Niji. Obviously, we know he's a great shinobi in the future, but let's not forget that the Hyuga are only loyal to themselves, especially those of the junior branch to their superiors, he said, tired of so much discussion. One day that boy will be overshadowed when Hayashi chooses his heir from among his two daughters, and if it's the eldest, well, I don't think she'll take things very well after how Niji treated her in their preliminary match, he declared. Hinata-chan isn't like that, the Hokage muttered reproachfully. As for the Uchiha boy, we know very well that he is currently being affected by the cursed seal. Do you really intend for us to hand over all the knowledge in Konoha's archive library to a child who could be influenced by Orochimaru from one day to the next? We would be handing over a valuable asset to the enemy. Furthermore, he paused for a moment and then continued, if you are worried about Uzumaki-san learning about Uzushio, what do you think will happen when Uchiha-san learns about the Uchiha clan massacre? He concluded. That's enough, Danzo, Hiruzen said authoritatively, no longer wanting to discuss difficult topics, especially with Shikaka present who was unaware of what had actually happened. Anyway, we were gathered here to discuss the Chunin exam finals and the growing threat of Orochimaru. Danzo, who decided it was best to forget what had happened a few moments ago, answered honestly about the new topic under discussion. As you well know, I made a deal with Orochimaru so that he would plan his attack on the village by making him believe that I had plans to take control, so this would be a good opportunity to stop him once and for all. And then, narrowing his eyes, he looked at Hiruzen. I don't see why you still insist on dealing with the traitor in your own way. I agree with Danzo on this, Hamura mentioned, knowing it was best to forget the previous topic. Hiruzen, I don't know what your thoughts are on this matter, but it seems you want to purge a debt. You're risking your life and worse, the safety of the village in this way. The old man retorted. I have to deal with this myself, Hiruzen replied resolutely. I have been very negligent with Orochimaru. I myself allowed everything to come to this, so I must end this problem with my own hands, he said decisively. But why not allow Jiraiya to accompany you in the Kage box? Said the other old woman. It would be an easier way to deal with the threat this invasion presents, Koharu declared. No, Jiraiya must help in containing the enemy armies. We don't really know what Orochimaru is planning, Hiruzen said. I know I am capable of dealing with him on my own. I need all available assets to safeguard the integrity of the village. You know very well that I can't use Na to help, Danzo said, impatient with Hiruzen's stubbornness. If Orochimaru somehow survives, I can't appear involved, or will lose that advantage with the enemy, since he believes I'm supporting him for my own personal ambitions, he explained. Don't worry, Hiruzen dismissed. I know very well that with the village's normal resources we will achieve victory. I still think you're a fool and a delusional fool to believe you can handle this invasion alone, Danzo retorted. We know Suna is involved. We already suffered our first casualty, Hayate Gecko, a few days ago, and I'm absolutely certain he was killed for uncovering information about the invasion, he said, feeling saddened by the loss of a valuable asset. I asked you to investigate the visitors under the pretext of revealing whether they were involved. You knew very well that it was legally plausible to do so. We were within our rights as the ones most affected. But you wanted to do it your way and take it to this point, the old man scolded. You know they're bringing a Jinchuriki to the exams, a Jinchuriki who might be better trained than ours, and having him roaming around would be a huge threat, especially if he's part of the invasion, as I'm sure will happen. Don't worry, Hiruzen said. I trust in our strength. The will of fire will prevail. There's Hiruzen, Koharu murmured in frustration. Well, I don't think this issue can be resolved in any way that pleases everyone, so it's best to end this discussion and leave to prepare for the arrival of the international leaders, she said, getting up. I understand the daimyo is arriving today, so we must have everything ready. If that's all right, Hiruzen said, pleased that it was all over. I hereby adjourn this council meeting. You may leave. Well, Okama, no. Sai, we've done a great job this whole month. I want to thank you for all your support, said Naruto, who knew it was best to be polite to Sai. At least this time, even if he didn't understand the term polite when speaking. I see that since this is a serious time, we'll leave the nicknames for another time, Sai said with his characteristic seriousness. Likewise, it was an honor to work with you, Uzumaki-san. It has been instructive, the pale boy said. Well, in any case, Naruto continued, unsure what else to say since it wasn't his specialty at this point. Thank you for the support. I know very well that I will manage to end this as the victor. I have great confidence in my abilities, he said, completely convinced of his victory. It's good to know, Uzumaki-san, Sai said. Call me Naruto, said the blonde boy. None of that Uzumaki-san or that stupid nickname, he muttered with some annoyance. I consider you just another friend. Sigh. In this time, you've become the creepy friend everyone wants to have. The boy laughed. Friend? Sai asked, surprised. If you have a friend, you should learn to interact with them without relying on these silly books, Naruto said, showing Sai the pair of books he had acquired at the beginning of his training. This surprised Sai, as he never knew when Naruto took the books from his backpack. The best way to understand relationships is by experiencing them. Not everyone likes nicknames, and if I know the village as well as I do, you'll get a lot of flack, especially from the women, Naruto said, remembering Sakura, Ino-chan, and Panda-chan, which sent a shiver down his spine. Try to get to know people, don't be pushy, and you'll be fine. You can count on me to help you? The blonde boy smiled at him. Sai didn't know what to say. This was something new for him. Thank you, Yuzu, Naruto-san. And for the first time in years, he gave a warmer smile than usual. See, that smile isn't scary, the blonde remarked. Well, see you later, Sai. I have to get everything ready for tomorrow. I hope you can come watch me crush this exam, Naruto said as he headed for the exit. Take care, buddy, friend, Sai murmured. Maybe this time I can do it, Shin, the dark-haired boy said almost with a sigh. Hack Rokujion Show, 8 trigrams, 64 palms. Niji felt ready. Today he was reviewing his most powerful techniques so he could defeat Sabaku no Gara, the strange phenomenon from Suna. He would be his toughest rival, but like everyone else, he would be defeated. At the end of the day, he would be crowned the champion of the sham tournament and prove to this and other nations that he was the strongest, smartest, most skilled, and noblest genin in the entire village. He would also prove that it was a mistake for him to end up as the clan's headmaster. He was far superior to Hanabi-sama, the arrogant and conceited girl who had the audacity to look down on him whenever they met, and also far superior to the failed shinobi that was Hinata-sama. She still remembered their encounter in the preliminaries. The naive girl thought she could fix everything by showing courage. Did she think she could earn his respect by confronting him? Ha! But no, all she managed to do was make him feel even more contempt for the pathetic excuse for an heiress that she was. Nothing could erase the 13 years of misery he had to live under the shadow of that stupid family, Hinata-sama, his sister, and their ilk. They were responsible for the death of his own father, for him having that stupid mark on his forehead, for his destiny being that of a caged bird. But they will pay for it, Niji hissed angrily. They will pay when I humiliate the Soak by proving that I, a lower-ranking member, can better develop his precious arts without anyone's help, when I manage to surpass any expectations the clan has about Hanabi-sama and Hinata-sama, when I manage to prove that they have the best shinobi locked up in Boke's prison. That will be my best revenge, the one I can achieve before I rot in the hell that awaits me in this clan, he said with conviction. And for that I must wipe out the losers, wipe out Uzumaki and Lee. Narrowing his eyes, Niji knew that in most cases it was luck that allowed Naruto to be in the finals. He admitted that it was amazing that it was the Uchiha boy who was sacrificed to allow the loser to be the next victim on Niji's path of revenge. Let's face it, the idiot has nothing more than his sealing abilities, his shadow clones, and a sensory ability, something that he didn't fear since I could counter it with his Jukin, gentle fist. It would be an easy victory for me. It wouldn't take any effort to beat the loser in less than 5 minutes. That way I will arrive ready for my battle with Rock Lee. Lee would be another easy obstacle to eliminate. He was just another pathetic nuisance seeking acceptance in a world where he didn't fit in. He clung to defying fate, trying to stand out without any talent beyond the taijutsu his sensei so insistently taught him. Doesn't he realize he's only hurting the idiot by making him believe he has a chance of becoming a valuable shinobi? He needs to understand that his destiny lies elsewhere and accept that he has no place in a shinobi world with his problems, he muttered irritably. But I'll take it upon myself to show everyone their place. I'll be an emissary of destiny. It's just a matter of them accepting without question the designs already written in their lives. He finished with a growl. All right, Lee, you need to finish those 100 push-ups and do another 50 laps around the training field track on your hands. If you can't do that, you'll have to do 100 squats. If you can't do that, you'll do 100 push-ups. If you still can't do that, well, I don't think we'll have time for anything else, Guy murmured, realizing that there were only 24 hours left before the Chunin exams began. In any case, you have to push yourself harder, my young student. The opportunity to prove that you are a talented ninja before everyone is right in front of you. It will be the day we show that you don't need ninjutsu or genjutsu to be the best. It will be your chance to achieve your dream, Lee, Mato Guy declared passionately. Yes, Guy-sensei. I'll show you what I'm capable of, Lee said from the ground as he finished his series of push-ups. I've been training like crazy to beat Naruto, Neji, Gaara, and whoever else I face in the upcoming battles, he said enthusiastically. I really want to be considered a chunin and prove that I achieved it by being myself. Even with my limitations, I managed to overcome them. That's right, Lee. You will prove that you are a great contender. You have studied your rivals, you know what Neji is capable of. He has been your rival for the longest time. This will be the moment to find out who of the two is the strongest, Guy declared with tears in his eyes. Yes, Guy-sensei, Lee said, thinking of his teammate Hyuga. All this time, he had looked down on him, but this would be the moment when he would earn his respect and prove that he could defeat him even though he was a prodigy. For nothing is more powerful than the flames of youth of a genius of hard work. Regarding Naruto-kun, you know very well that you shouldn't underestimate him. That was young Sasuke's mistake, he explained, suddenly becoming serious. In the event that Neji loses, Naruto-kun will be the most difficult opponent you'll have to face. Since you know Neji, you know what he's like, he said, listing his potential rivals. Gaara is dangerous, but he's easy to read. He loves sadism, and his strength comes from what the sand provides him. He paused for a second before continuing. But Naruto-kun is unpredictable. You don't know the true extent of his abilities. We know he has the ability with gravity seals and probably another type of FUINJUTSU, he said seriously, demonstrating that Naruto's threat was one to be reckoned with. We've already warned that no seal can be placed on your body. We also know he has a sensory ability, but beyond that, we don't know what else he has. And, giving Lee a hard look, he finished, you must end the match soon. The longer you wait, the more opportunities you give him, the more chances he can lead you into a trap. Yes, Guy-sensei, I won't let him beat me and I won't underestimate him, he said resolutely as he stood up after finishing his series. Furthermore, I must avenge the affront he caused by insulting and belittling my beloved Sakura-san. I will show him that I am the knight of my sweet Sakura-san and I won't allow anyone to make her cry, he said resolutely. All right, my student, now run those 50 laps, he said energetically. Yash! Lee shouted as he did a handstand and began his run. All right, Sasuke, it's time to go, Kakashi Hatake said calmly to his student. Why? We can still train more, the dark-haired man said, annoyed. We can't because tomorrow your teammate has his match in the final and we must be present to support him as members of Team 7, declared the copy ninja, tired of his student's attitude. I don't care what that loser does, Sasuke growled. Besides, I don't think I can beat that Hyuga. They're not in the same league, he said venomously. I prefer to keep training and get stronger. Kakashi just sighed at Sasuke's arrogance. Well, if you want to stay and train, you'll do it on your own. I promise to only work with you until the start of the finals. It's up to you if you want to be an easy target for Orochimaru, he said as he started walking towards the village. Sasuke was annoyed. Kakashi was pressuring him to abandon his training and watch the idiot perform in the finals. Even though it bothered him, he had to admit he needed Kakashi for his training to actually pay off. So, with a grunt, he headed towards where his sensei was walking. I'll just watch the dobe make a fool of himself and prove he is, and always will be, a loser, he muttered irritably. Naturally, this month had served to make Sasuke stronger. He had acquired great skill in his taijutsu, improved his speed to a level similar to the green freak he fought before the exams, and now he had his trump card, the Chidori. Just you wait, Naruto. After this exam, I'll show you who's the best of us. My name is Father. It was the calm voice of a girl that was suddenly heard. Yes, come here, Hinata. I need to talk to you, ordered Hayashi Hyuga, the current leader of the Hyuga clan. Hinata slowly and submissively approached her father's presence. If anyone were looking for signs of fear, they would easily find them in her hesitant gait, her lowered head, the slight trembling of her body, and the spasms between her two hands. To the world and to herself, Hinata Hyuga was just a weak and timid lamb who only had one function in life: to always disappoint her clan. It began when she struggled to learn the Jukin at a young age, unlike her cousin Niji, an unworthy bastard of the Boke according to the Hyuga Council elders. Then there was her inability to be the worthy heir even in front of her own sister Hanabi. Hanabi was talented, she was strong, she was proud. She was everything Hinata wasn't, the pacifist who was too similar to the weak and fragile Hatsumi Hyuga, her mother who died when Hanabi was born. Hinata hated disappointing everyone, but she loved her sister more. Something no one knew was that Hinata was not inferior to Hanabi. If perhaps she wasn't a prodigy like her, or her training didn't bear the same fruit as her little sisters, the truth was that Hinata hid her true ability for one simple reason. She needed Hanabi to be the heir, otherwise she would be sent to the Boke. When Hinata learned of the clan's rules, she knew she couldn't allow Hanabi to be scarred for life. She couldn't allow the daughter for whom her beloved mother had given her life to be sacrificed because of the regulations of an antiquated clan law that grew more twisted every day. No, she had to do something, and if that meant sacrificing her pride and her place among royalty, then she would gladly do it, even if it meant earning Hanabi's rejection for being weak, as she had told her many times. That didn't matter as long as Hanabi was all right, and she wasn't worried about being sent to the Boke. She knew the Hyuga law and knew that she could not be touched because she was the eldest daughter. Even though she was not worthy of being the heir, she was protected. Or so she thought. Tell me, father dash. Hinata, Hayashi said almost in a whisper. As you well know, your place as presumed heir is still valid. Some members of the council still believe that you have the necessary value for the clan. He explained, and seeing that she did not make any further movement. And they have found a way to find out. What do you mean, father? I asked nervously. This wasn't part of the plan. I can't allow Hanabi to lose her place as heir. Hayashi took a moment to answer. He didn't like the decision the council elders had made. Hinata might be a failed heir, but she was still his daughter, and he loved her very much. He struggled to say, they want you to get close and seduce them, becoming the fiancée and future wife of the Uchiha heir. The little color that Hinata's skin had disappeared when she heard this news. No, it's not possible. I can't do that. He's someone I don't want in my life as a husband. Hinata began to moan. I'm sorry, Hinata, but it's an order from the council, said her father, annoyed. It pained him that the clan's laws gave so much power to those elders. Your duty will be to approach him and learn from him, and make him recognize you as his fiancée. But I love another man, she moaned, almost to the point of hysteria. Please, father, don't do this to me. She sobbed with tears in her eyes. I'm sorry, but no, Hayashi said, hurt. The council realized you were hiding your true power, he said, not missing Hinata's surprised expression. They feel you're not taking your place as a Hyuga and have been dishonoring our legacy with your actions. So, and lowering his eyes in defeat, they've given you an ultimatum. Either you get the Uchiha heir to notice you, or they'll send Hanabi to the Boke, he finished. No, Hinata shouted. Anything but that, you can't allow it. She's the heir, she said, thinking about everything that had happened only for her little sister to still be sent to the lower branch. They don't mind having to find another heir from among the children of the upper branch, he explained, recalling how the rules allowed his own family to lose control of the clan. Even so, they promise that if you strive in your mission, they won't touch Hanabi and will keep her as heir. And since you will be the future Lady Uchiha, you won't have any risk of getting involved either, the man explained. They do this because they want to be part of the resurgence of the Uchiha clan, and thus form an alliance that will be the most powerful in all of Hai no Kuni. Hinata, who could only cry inconsolably, accepted her fate. She would have to be the future wife of Uchiha Sasuke and live a life of misery and lack of love, locked in a golden cage, all for her beloved sister. Without receiving the order, Hinata ran out of the room with only one thought. I'm sorry, Naruto-kun. Hinata, sighed her father, feeling terrible about the fate that awaited his daughter. Era, we're almost halfway through the day, Nagato-kun, said Irisa's sweet voice. Time flies when you're working. Well, you've only been in the store for about an hour, Nagato thought. a drop of sweat forming on his forehead. "You've been at the markets in the other town all morning," he added. "Yeah, right, Irisa-chan, everything's faster," he murmured. "Irisa-chan, I'm going out to eat. I'll be right back," the boy said, heading for the door. "Of course, Nagato-kun," said Irisa. But Nagato didn't go out to eat. He headed to the training field to have a moment where he could release some of the stress he felt for this day, since today was the last day of his existence. He had been feeling very exhausted for days, a clear indication that his time was running out. And today, the day before the finals, he knew he could no longer continue with his life. The truth was, he couldn't and didn't want to continue with this anymore. It was a desperate ordeal he had to endure. He felt he could no longer live a life that wasn't his own, a life he had somehow found himself enjoying. Nagato knew that from the day the boss and the scientist girl created him, something bad was going to happen. His worst fears were that he would explode out of nowhere or that the boss would use him as a punching bag to test his durability. But what he never imagined was that he would have a good job and an amazing best friend, and worst of all, that he would end up wishing that the life he pretended to have had been real. But it wasn't so, because no matter how much he longed to live such a life, he didn't really exist. He was just the method by which Naruto Uzumaki would become stronger. Nagato wasn't the orphaned boy who had left the shinobi life because he considered it dangerous. Nagato wasn't the boy from the antique and curiosities shop who was exploited by his boss, Irisa Yamanaka, every day while she went out to have fun. Nagato wasn't the almost friend of Sakura Haruno and Kiba Inuzuka. Nagato wasn't Ino Yamanaka's best friend. And oh, Nagato was just a lie of a boy who had lived his whole life in lies. Ironic, isn't it? Naruto suffered so much because people lied to him, and now he'll make people suffer with his lies. Nagato growled in his mind. And he knew it. He knew others would suffer. He warned me, but what he doesn't know is what I'm going through. Unable to stop it any longer, tears began to fall from his face. I doubt he cares how a clone like me is devastated by not being real, by having the desire to be free and have a life of my own, he sobbed. He doesn't care that he gave me life only to take it away, gave me a name only to make it disappear, made me get a job only to abandon it, and worst of all, gave me the chance to fall in love only to never enjoy it. In a just world where things are balanced, there would be a Nagato who could have had all of that. One who returned to active shinobi service, perhaps not becoming Hokage, but achieving a comfortable life. One who enjoyed a long retirement and dedicated himself to running the antique and curio shop for many years, allowing Irisa to fulfill her dream of having everyone know about her shop, especially the place where she spent so many years working alongside her dear friend Nagato. In a just world, an adult Nagato would return home after a long day at work, where his beautiful wife Ino would be waiting with dinner and a chat about how well their little blonde, brown-eyed daughter was doing at the Ninja Academy. In a just world, Nagato would have had a wonderful life with Ino Yamanaka, but unfortunately, in this world, it wasn't so. Intentionally or unintentionally, Naruto Uzumaki caused a lot of damage not to Nagato, but to a part of himself. He pushed the two boys to gradually grow closer, and unwittingly, Ino Yamanaka forgot her obsession with Sasuke Uchiha and set her sights on her best friend, Nagato. Meanwhile, Nagato, the most vulnerable and sincere part of Naruto Uzumaki, ended up falling in love with her. Someday, all of this will have its consequences, but that day is not today. I hope you're happy, Naruto, with what you've caused, Nagato growled. And I pray to Kami that my memories aren't tainted when I return to you because of your immense stupidity in wanting to be stronger. He finished as he approached the shop when he saw Irisa closing up. Irisa-chan, why are you closing early? Oh, because you need to prepare for the finals, the older woman said simply. Nagato was surprised by this. I don't know what you mean, Irisa-chan. I'm not in the finals, he explained. I'm not even a ninja now, remember? Really? Irisa said, confused, putting a finger to her chin. I could have sworn you were in the finals, he said to himself, then shrugged in resignation. Well, I think it's best to prepare for tomorrow anyway, so I wish you luck even if you're not in the finals, Naruto-kun. And without another word, he left for home. Nagato stood motionless in the same place for almost a minute. How did she find me out? He said frantically, But then he remembered what Ino had once told him. Even though he's not a ninja, he still has the clan skills and a certain knack for some things. Damn, was all that came out of his mouth. Tenten was sitting on a park bench thinking. A few days ago she had managed to get to know a little about Uzumaki Naruto, and she really regretted how she had been acting for almost the entire month. He didn't deserve for me to see him like this, she murmured sadly. He was just trying to do the right thing. Talking to him when he took her home allowed her to understand that there was no malice in the boy, but rather that he acted according to the respect he felt for her. He respects me, she thought, smiling. This was a new experience for her. Niji was an idiot who underestimated her, and Lee was too chivalrous, sometimes preventing her from putting in the effort, but Naruto was different. He trusts my abilities even if they aren't fully developed yet, she added. I think we can be good friends, she said with a smile. There was still the matter of the rumor that they were a couple, but she didn't know how to avoid it without going to the source, and she didn't want to meet the cook yet. That girl had exasperated her like no one ever had before, something outstanding because no woman had managed such a feat. Anyway, I'll have to resolve it after the finals, she declared thoughtfully and resolutely. And speaking of the finals, Tenten was in a moral dilemma. On one hand, there were her teammates. Even if Niji was an idiot, she knew the right thing to do was to support him as well as Lee. But, she thought, I really want Naruto to win the finals. I don't know why, but I hope he does. She groaned, not knowing what to choose. Anyway, Naruto has proven to be very skilled, and I really hope to see what he's capable of, he said as his stomach growled. All right, let's find something to eat. And I'm craving anything away from that ramen stand. A big storm is coming, old man, said Jiraiya's voice. I know, Jiraiya, Hiruzen sighed. I know. I believe the time has come to atone for my sins. It was I who refused to see what Orochimaru was becoming. It was I who could have stopped him and didn't. It was I who had the opportunity to kill him but hesitated and sent him into exile. And now we are here, one day away from one of the darkest moments in the entire history of Konoha. All because of my weakness, he said sadly. Jiraiya just stared seriously at his sensei while he was further troubled by the ghosts of the past. Then he sighed and said, just leave it like that. There's nothing we can do now. I should have tried to stop him too, but I still saw him as my brother. Thinking of all the moments he spent with Orochimaru, I'm just as guilty as you, but as I said, there's nothing we can do now except control the damage. And giving him a serious look, he continued. Are you still convinced you can do it? Alone? Yes, I couldn't ask you or anyone else to be there with me since I don't know what Orochimaru is planning, he murmured. And I'm not that valuable to the village anymore. Aren't you valuable? Jiraiya exasperated. You're the damn Hokage. You're the head of the village. Without you to lead them, everything will go to hell. Hee. Thanks, I guess. Hiruzen laughed, not really believing it. But it's time for a fifth Hokage, so if you'd like, forget it, Jiraiya snapped. And don't you dare use the old and dying man excuse to convince me to take the position, he complained. I'm not cut out to lead people. I'm only here to help with the invasion. Hiruzen remained silent for a moment while observing his student, and then spoke. And Naruto-kun? Jiraiya just lowered his gaze and sighed. He's not what I expected, he murmured. This slightly surprised the Hokage, who believed Jiraiya didn't like his godson. Something the Sannin noticed and decided to clarify. It's not that there's anything wrong with him. It's just that I expected an impulsive and clumsy boy who was looking for admiration because of everything he's been through, or so your reports told me, he said, narrowing his eyes and making Hiruzen feel guilty about Naruto's past. I expected to find a brat with Minato's appearance and Kushina's personality, but I found a boy with Minato's appearance and his personality during his worst moments of the Third Shinobi World War, plus Kushina's mean and sadistic attitude when someone bothered her as a child, he muttered. That boy doesn't trust anyone. He's perverse and very independent, and he prefers to do everything alone. He reminds me of Orochimaru. You fear believing that his loyalty is questionable? Hiruzen said worriedly. That would be terrible, a Jinchuriki who is no longer loyal to the village and, above all, skilled. I don't think so, Jiraiya said, giving Hiruzen a moment to breathe before looking up seriously, making him tremble. I'm sure of it. That boy is only loyal to himself, maybe to the few friends he's made, and that's it. He doesn't feel any real loyalty to Konoha, he said seriously, then let out a small laugh. Although I must admit I'm proud that he's a boy surrounded by pretty girls who seem to be very persistent in pursuing him. So you've been following him? Hiruzen asked, still surprised to learn how far removed Naruto was now. I never expected it to go this far. You said it yourself, we needed to know what Danzo was plotting with him, so I've been observing him, Jiraiya said. He may have a sensory ability, but I'm not the head of espionage for nothing. I managed to keep an eye on him during parts of his training. Well? Hiruzen asked, interested in the performance of his former grandson. How's it going? Jiraiya took a moment to answer. That kid is going to be a Chunin by the end of all this mess. He's a total monster. He managed to master the Rasengan. He managed to create a more powerful clone. He has 3 elemental abilities and who knows how many more things he's hiding, he explained. You can't be serious, the Hokage said, shocked. It's impossible for Naruto-kun to achieve all that in 1 month, especially with the Rasengan. It took Minato 3 years to create it, and you only a year and a half to learn it. Are you surprised? Jiraiya mocked. You know very well that those academy parasites held him back and prevented him from learning properly. Now that he's doing everything on his own, he's able to demonstrate his true potential. Do you remember whose son he is? He said almost proudly. The son of the prodigy Namikaze Minato and the princess and heir of the Uzumaki arts. That boy has the potential to be another Kakashi or another Itachi, and that's without Danzo having participated in his training yet. Hiruzen stroked his beard to think. Someone so powerful, so skilled. I never thought Naruto-kun would reach that level. I'm afraid he'll keep drifting away from the village day by day. What can we do to avoid losing his loyalty? He thought desperately, when a truth dawned on him. That was what Danzo was planning. Hiruzen said in surprise. What? Jiraiya said, interested in knowing the old war hawk's intentions with his godson. To create a debt with Naruto-kun, in that way maintain his loyalty to the village? Hiruzen explained, still unable to believe what his old friend had done. I don't understand you, Jiraiya said, confused. Hiruzen took his time to gather his thoughts before answering. I told you that Naruto already had rebellious tendencies even before the preliminaries. We witnessed his behavior towards his teammate, Hiruzen explained, hoping Jiraiya would follow along. When Jiraiya showed he understood, he continued. This reached Danzo's ears, and fearing for the boy's loyalty, and knowing his value to the village, he decided to do the same thing we did with the Uchiha-san boy. We gave him something to keep him happy, knowing there would be more if he remained true to his convictions towards Konoha. He finished. That's why he hasn't trained him yet. He's leaving him with the notion that there will be even more if he stays strong and loyal. Jiraiya processed that and was surprised. A good plan, I must admit, he admitted. So you don't plan to use the kid? Hiruzen sighed. I don't know, maybe later, but I have my doubts. Today at the council meeting I could see that Danzo is really interested in Naruto in a good way. Then closing his eyes he continued. But we must still keep our eyes wide open. We mustn't trust him so soon. Well then, I think that's all, Jiraiya said, taking his leave. Wait! Hiruzen stopped him. I need you to do something. No matter what happens tomorrow, we need to think about the future of Konoha, he said, looking seriously at Jiraiya. Given your refusal to take the mantle of Hokage, there is no other option. I need you to bring Tsunade back by any means necessary. Sakura was sad. This month had been very lonely. She hadn't seen any of her teammates, and although she would have loved to see Sasuke-kun, the one she really wanted to see was Naruto. 1 month and I didn't get to see him at all. She sighed sadly. It was supposed to be that if I managed to see him we would resolve all our differences and we could start over. But it seems everyone got to spend time with Naruto except me, she said thoughtfully. INO, Nagato-kun, and even Tenten. Something else that was starting to bother Sakura was Naruto and Tenten's relationship. Tenten had come to take what was rightfully hers, Naruto's attention. She had never felt this way before, not even with INO during her quest for Sasuke's heart. She felt displaced, forgotten, by someone Naruto had only known for a couple of days, someone he'd supposedly liked for years, and suddenly he'd forgotten all about her. Sakura had to admit it. Having Naruto flatter and encourage her was something she secretly liked. She, so insecure and with low self-esteem, felt good when at least one person thought she was pretty besides her parents. It was nice to know there was someone who found me attractive, but now Tenten has taken all that away. You're being stupid, inner Sakura scolded her. Why should we care what a monster like Naruto thinks of us? Don't call him a monster, the girl snapped, then calmed down, realizing her outburst had been out of her mind. He's not, she murmured. I just hope we can be friends again. Though she knew deep down that being just friends wasn't what she really wanted. Are you ready? Naruto asked. Not really, Nagato murmured. They had arrived at the archives library to compare the results of their training and to complete the mission that he had entrusted to Nagato 20 days ago. How are you feeling? Naruto asked again. How do you think I feel? I'm going to disappear. I'm going to cease to exist, Nagato complained. I mean physically, said Naruto, not understanding what was happening to the clone. I should have known, Nagato muttered irritably. Exhausted. I just want to finish this once and for all. Okay. Well, Shiho-chan is ready, I'm ready, and you are, so, and putting his hands up to dispel it. Wait, Nagato stopped him. Before you do that, I'd like to ask you a favor, he said. Naruto blinked in confusion. Sure. Go ahead and tell me. Dash. Nagato took a long breath and then explained his request to Naruto. I want you to do that. For her, dash. Naruto was surprised. He never expected his clone to do something like that for Ino Yamanaka. Are you sure? I could tell her the truth, dash. No! Nagato shouted angrily. You won't take that from me too. Hey, calm down, kid, said Naruto. Okay. I'll do it the way you want. Well, I'm off. Good luck, Naruto, Nagato said. Thank you, and I promise I'll do something about Ino-chan's aunt too. I'll talk to her after the exams are over. And putting both hands together, she made the seal. Nagato then began to glow until he became an exact replica of Naruto. Only it was a silhouette made of chakra. Then he began to disintegrate and merge with Naruto's body, thus ending his life. At a distance from that place was Ino Yamanaka, gathered with her team enjoying a meal in honor of Shikamaru. Suddenly she felt a chill and looked up at the sky, feeling extremely sad without knowing why. She could only wish that everyone was well with the people she loved, especially her best friend and the man to whom she gave her first kiss and soon her heart. Naruto-kun, are you okay? Shiho asked. Yes, it's strange. I feel stronger. My chakra has returned, but I don't remember anything he went through, he said, confused. Really? Shiho said curiously. That's strange. It's a side effect we weren't expecting. If that proves the technique is incomplete, he said, evaluating his clone. I just feel an enormous sadness and I can't explain it, the boy murmured. Strange, the girl replied. Well, if you're not feeling well, we could end it now, she said kindly. No, I'm fine, said Naruto. Let's continue. Okay, Shiho said. Well, as we saw, your chakra has returned again, so we deduced that there was a significant increase in your abilities. She explained as she took out her notes and a pen. Could you list the progress you made this month? I'd like to hear it too, a voice said from behind them. Both boys turned around and saw Danzo walking slowly towards them. Danzo-sama, they both said and bowed. Naruto-kun, Shiho-san, it's a pleasure to see you. I hope you're well, said the old man. Yes, sir, we're fine, said Naruto as Shiho nodded. To what do we owe your visit? She asked. I would like to speak with you, Naruto-kun, said the old man. But first of all, I would like to hear that report, he replied seriously. Yes, of course, said Naruto. Well, to be exact, as Shiho mentioned, my chakra has increased, we estimate by 20%. He said, waiting for Danzo's acknowledgement to continue, which he received in the form of a nod from the old warhawk. Well, I've also improved my chakra control, my sensory ability has improved, but I haven't yet discovered how to use it unconsciously. I've discovered that I have 3 manipulable elements: wind release, lightning release, and fire release. I've also created 3 jutsu for each element: wind release, fireworks, class C, lightning release, lightning discharge, class D, and fire release, firefox, class B. My taijutsu has improved tremendously, and I've created a new style that I can't use yet due to some limitations, but I've already worked on how to master it, and I've mastered the Rasengan, a Class A technique. Naruto ended. Danzo contemplated all this information for a few moments. Well done, Naruto-kun. I'm glad you took advantage of this gift that was given to you. It keeps me calm in some aspects, he said seriously, and then turned to the other girl who had written down all the information. Shiho-san, would you give us a few minutes to talk about something in private? He asked her. Of course, Danzo-sama, he said, bowing and walking away from them. Tell me what you want to talk to me about. Danzo-sama? Naruto asked curiously after watching Shiho leave. I would like to talk about some matters that will occur tomorrow, said the old man. Hours later in Ichirayaku. Let's make a toast to our beloved Naruto-kun who tomorrow will defeat all his rivals and become a Chunin, said Iam's voice. It was night and Naruto had gone to Ichirayaku for dinner. What he didn't expect was that they were waiting to give him a surprise. Iam, Tuchi, Ino, Shiho and Irika were gathered there to cheer him up for tomorrow. Kanpai! They all said as they clinked their tea glasses together. Thank you, Naruto said happily, then approached Ino. You're not supposed to be supporting Shikamaru, but you're here supporting me, the blonde laughed. Well, I was with Shikamaru and my team this afternoon, but honestly, my bet is on you, the blonde said with a smile. Besides, let's face it, Shika isn't interested in winning this and will only be satisfied with beating the blonde from Suna. If he doesn't give up first, she laughed. You're right, Naruto laughed, thinking about his friend's attitude. Thank you so much for coming, Ino-chan. You're welcome, the girl said. I was thinking of bringing Nagato-kun, but I couldn't find him. It's sad that being his best friend, I don't know where he lives, she murmured sadly. Suddenly, Naruto felt a pang in his heart, and a deep sadness settled in his chest. This whole Nagato and Ino affair confused him greatly. He had noticed that since Nagato had returned to him, his attitude had been more relaxed, as if he had remembered how to smile or be cheerful. He had spoken about it with Shiho-chan, and she attributed it to Nagato having taken a trait of his personality, and now he was whole again. This explained much of his recent hostile actions. They all occurred when Nagato was away, even before he used the Chikara Kagebushin no Jutsu. However it all went, it was a mess, and he hoped that by fulfilling Nagato's last wish everything would return to normal, which is why he had asked Danzo for help with Nagato's request. Naruto's thoughts were interrupted by Irika speaking to him. Excuse me, Irika-sensei, I got distracted. What should I ask? Why isn't your girlfriend here celebrating with us? The Chunin asked. This question provoked reactions in 3 people. Naruto blushed, Iam looked angry, and Ino smiled mockingly. Well, she's with her teammates, they're both in the final, right? Besides, she's not my girlfriend, said the blushing boy. Better. We don't need it, Iam said sarcastically. This statement surprised Irika and Shiho, who had never seen the cook so upset. I was thinking of inviting her, but Iam wouldn't let me, Ino said, smiling mockingly. Like I said, we don't need it, Iam repeated, annoyed. The atmosphere had become slightly awkward for everyone except Ino, who was enjoying it all. Anyway, Tuchi said, trying to change the subject. Naruto, we all know what you're capable of, but tell us, what can we expect tomorrow? He said, smiling. Naruto, who felt happy with the people who were by his side, after moving away from the Hokage and his team, these people were the closest thing to a family he had to this day, and he knew that there was a possibility that more people would join that circle so special to him, people like Sai or Panda-chan. Seeing each of the smiling faces that were waiting for his answer, he allowed himself to be once again the Naruto he was before all the changes in his life happened. I'm going to kick some ass and prove that Naruto Uzumaki is the best in this village, he declared with a shout, raising his glass. For real, and raising their glasses. They all repeated with a truly euphoric shout, really?
Hey, you! Yes, you! If you're here and want more seasons of this great fanfic, don't forget to give your comment asking for the 6th season. So, bye bye!